Hello and welcome back again. Today we are going to do a quick summary of our study, which was on Kanna, jealous God or consuming fire. So we looked at a number of things. The whole thing, what does it mean that God is Kanna as revealed in Exodus 34? It means that God has, it's not like petty human jealousy or envy. God has a holy passion. It is connected to an ardent zeal. Our God is a passionate God. He is not just a God who's lackadaisical or I can't really be bothered. He is passionate. And there are certain things God is passionate about, which we need to be passionate about too. And one of the marks of sin is that people aren't really bothered about those things. But let's look at three things which are really important for us. The first is belonging or covenant. Covenant is massively important to God. This idea of a genuine commitment. Many people are commitment averse, or they say, I don't see any need for commitment. Actually, commitment is a moral standing. Commitment is a moral issue. And so belonging to God is actually connected to the word holiness. Holiness actually is referring to being separated from something and to something. So when we make a marriage vow, traditionally, we say forsaking all others. And so this whole thing about a covenant relationship with God is absolutely massive in the scriptures. The second thing we looked at is fidelity. Fidelity is a really big thing in the scripture, and it's a big thing with God. Fidelity is basically faithfulness to a person, cause, or belief, and it's demonstrated by a continuing loyalty and support. So faithfulness is absolutely massive. The opposite of that, of course, is idolatry. In our world, idolatry is not a big deal. People call it tolerance, inclusiveness, but God's passion, when we embrace a God who is passionate for these things, he's passionately burning against what is opposite to it. So when we indulge in things without covenant, God is passionately against that. Lack of faithfulness, infidelity, spiritual adultery, which is idolatry, covetousness, which is idolatry, God's passion burns against it. We also looked at, on that subject, the subject of hell, something very unpopular in Christian circles today. But to call God Kanna, a consuming fire, is to say, look, even in the Old Testament, right there in the very name of God, this holy judgment, this holy burning passion that burns for what is good and against what is evil will consume those on the outside. That is an inevitability. And hell is in line with God's character. That's very different to what you're hearing spoken of in modern Christian circles, where people seem almost ashamed of this. And we need to learn how to defend this. The people who ought to be ashamed are those who engage in infidelity, those who are engaged in idolatry, those who are engaged in a sexual relationship without covenant. These are serious issues. And thirdly, a lack of love, that they do not love their neighbours themselves. These are massive issues. And this is the third thing we can learn about Kanna, is love. Love has a passion to it. And the Bible declares that greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his brother. That's what we call the passion of the Christ. As is even a film title. God so loved the world, John 3:16, that he gave his only begotten Son, so that whoever believed in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. Again, we read the scripture saying, for a good man, some would even dare to die. But God commends his love to us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us, the godly for the ungodly. There is the passion of God. God is passionate about love. God is passionate about fidelity. And God is passionate about covenant. And when we fall outside of those things, when we choose a lifestyle of selfishness or hate, when we choose a lifestyle of infidelity, when we think we can just cast aside, what can I say again? Covenant. When we cast aside covenant, we think we can live in a relationship as married without covenant. These are things God is passionately against. And so we want to embrace the passion of God, the Kanna, the fiery zeal, ardent zeal, which either purifies those on the inside or destroys those on the outside. I want to leave you with Psalm 139, verse 2-3. It says, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there's any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. I want to say this: when we embrace God as Elkanah, we are embracing covenants, we are embracing fidelity, and we are embracing walking in love. And that is our God. He is passionate. He is a consuming fire. But for those on the outside, that is a terrifying thing indeed. God bless you. I'll see you again next week.